Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my shop and also welcome back to my channel. And what we're going to be doing in today's video is I'm going to be unboxing and setting up the Harbor Freight 2 horsepower dust collector. I've been looking for or wanting a dust collector for my shop for quite a while now. And I was looking for one that kind of met my particular needs and also fit within my particular budget. And one of the things that kept popping up, or I kept seeing, was the amount of positive reviews for this particular dust collector. A lot of people had said that this was a good dust collector and it was a good bang for your buck. And so I decided to go ahead and buy one of these and set it up and give it a test drive. One thing that, as you're watching this video, I do, just to let you know in advance, I do make several mistakes, so pay careful attention to the subtitles as you're watching the video, because those will point out where I made the mistakes and how I corrected those. So just be on the lookout for that. So anyway, we've got a lot to do in this video, and let's get started. Okay, I'm just kind of going through the directions. I've already got the box opened up. So the first thing the directions tells you to do is we're going to mount these casters here, and you should have a package of 4 of them in the box, in the bottom of the box there. And you're going to mount these onto the base plate there. And what the directions are telling you to use is you're using these screws, this washer, and this nut here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount all 4 casters, and then we'll proceed on to the next step. Okay, real quickly, the nuts to mount the casters, most of this hardware is going to be in metric, and so the socket to mount to secure the nut to the for the caster is a 10 millimeter socket. So just let you know. Alright guys, I just thought I would share this with you. I made a mistake here. When I looked at the directions, when putting the casters on, what you're supposed to do is you're actually supposed to put a washer underneath the head of the screw and not underneath the nut. So I've only done 2 casters so far, so I'm going to go back and redo those and then install the other 2. But anyway, I'm sharing that with you so you do not make the same mistake when putting the casters onto the base here. Okay, I've got the casters all installed on the base and they're tightened. So the next thing that we're do is we're going to install these, what this right here is called the collector support arm, and those will go on the side of this base plate here, and it will line up with these two holes here. These are already threaded, and you'll be using this bolt here with the washer. Now, one thing to note is that when you're installing this, is that this end here is kind of like L-shaped, so to speak. That is going to be installed so that it is facing in. So both of these will be facing in towards each other. So one will go here, and then the other one is going to go here, and so that they'll face each other. And basically, just what you're doing is you're just basically putting a bolt through a washer and tightening that down. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, I've got the two collector support arms that go on the opposite sides installed, and there's actually a third one that gets installed as well, and that's going to go right here at these two holes, and it's going to do the exact same thing. And one more, just on, also to note that this too will also face it's going to be facing inside just like this. Let me turn the camera around. So the end of this L shape here will be facing in towards these other two, so they'll face each other. That's to hold the dust collector bag. Okay guys, before we go any further, there's a couple of mistakes that I made, and I didn't catch this until I read the back of the directions. The directions for this dust collector are really not the best, but on the support arms here, actually I need to. I mean, the mistake that I made was this: is that it's not a bolt. Earlier I told you that it's a bolt, and then it's a washer. A flat washer like this. Well, it's actually when you look at the IPC back here, you're supposed to have a spring washer, then the flat washer, and I didn't catch that till a few minutes ago, and that's my fault. So you can learn from my mistakes. But as you can see here, there's the bolt, flat spring washer, and then you're supposed to have a flat washer, and that goes into the support arms for the dust collector, the dust bag, and stuff like that. So I'm gonna, before I put the fan assembly, finish installing that, I'm gonna go ahead and correct this mistake here. Okay guys, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to install the motor base plate, which gets installed to the base plate here. And what this does is this attaches to the fan housing, or it's a support for the motor on the fan housing, excuse me. And then you have two bolts there that secure the wider part of the fan housing, so to speak, and then the motor rests on here. And for this procedure, you're going to need 6 bolts, 6 nuts, and 12 washers. This part here, I was thinking it required threaded nuts, but it doesn't. On the base plate here, this is a threaded. The metal here is threaded, so all you'll need is a bolt and a washer for that, and then we'll attach the fan housing onto that. The other thing too is there's a little bit of play here, so I'm just going to kind of like, I'm just going to finger tight it, or put them in there and make them finger tight in case I need to move this plate around. Okay, guys, the directions for the installation of this, or putting together this dust collector, is really not that great. They're very vague in terms of what goes where. So you can use this to, help you avoid making any mistakes. Actually, there's two different bolts. These short bolts are what goes on the motor base plate and also for the fan housing there. So there's a total of 6 there. And then when you go to mount the motor to this motor base plate here, you're actually going to be using a longer bolt here, and that's going to have a washer underneath the head and a washer underneath the head of the nut. And the directions are they're really vague. They just tells you to attach it. It doesn't have any diagram of what's supposed to be included in the hardware package. So you have to kind of stumble and make mistakes and figure it out for yourself. So I'm doing this video so that if you decide to buy one of these, you'll be able to put it together without having the least amount of frustration possible. It's a good thing that I went back and I double checked the diagram, assembly diagram again, and actually made 2 more mistakes. The instructions tell you washers, and so I just kind of went back to the back part of the instructions to the assembly diagram, and it kind of elaborates a little bit more. Actually, you're supposed to have, for the motor support plate here, you're supposed to have underneath this bolt, it's supposed to be the bolt, then goes to a spring washer such as this one here, and then goes to the flat washer, which goes into kind of like a nut plate on the bottom side of this base plate. And then the motor, when it attaches to the motor support plate here, and it's supposed to be a bolt, a washer, and then another side. You're supposed to have a spring washer, then another flat washer, and it's secured tightly by a nut. So I go back and correct those mistakes. And 2, also, this has also got to get a spring washer too, so I got to fix that as well. Okay, guys, now that I've gone back and I've finished correcting my mistakes with the spring washers, we're now going to move on to the next part, and that is to install the gasket that goes to the fan inlet or fan outlet. And the way it goes like this is the gasket. You'll install this piece next, which goes on top of there. And in order to secure this, you're going to use a bolt. And I looked at the parts diagram, you're going to have a bolt, a washer is going to go to the top of this, and on the back of it is just a nut, and it is the best I can tell, it's one of these nylon nuts here, or has like a nylon thread on that will go under the back of it. You should have about 6 of those. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here. One thing to note is that the gasket does have like a raised lip on it. The diagram is very vague on how this goes, and so is the IPC. So for the most part, I don't think it really matters. So I'm just going to put it up in this fashion here, like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on and secure it, and then we'll press on to the next item. Please forgive the background noise if you hear a bunch of construction going on. They're building a house right behind me, so I'm out doing this outside in the garage. By the way, these nuts here, or these bolts on top of here, all this hardware is in metric. This is a 10 millimeter bolt, so you'll need a 10 millimeter socket. You'll need that same socket for some of the earlier hardware, or some of the early parts I installed. Okay guys, I went ahead and got the gasket installed with the outlet piece there, whatever you want to call it. The next part in the assembly is that we are going to mount this here. This is called the collector support and the collector. Actually, this is the collector support and this is the collector. And this is going to mount onto here like so. The only difference is that on the opposing arm there, you're going to mount on the outside this support arm here, and that's hold the top of the filtration bag. So that will get mounted on the outside. I'll show you here what it's going to look like here in a minute, and that's going to get on the outside. And for this hardware that you're going to use is going to be the same one that we've been using, which is this bolt here. Once again, you're going to have it does call for a spring washer, and then you're going to have a normal washer underneath the head of the bolt. And then the collector itself is threaded, so you don't have to worry about putting a nut on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and start that now. And so this is the collector, this is support arm here. One thing I do recommend is if you can get someone to help you with this, because it is kind of awkward to try and hold this up and then try and line the holes. Okay, now that we've got the collector attached to the collector support arms, One thing I do recommend is you get someone to help you. If you can put it in place, it makes it a little bit easier for someone to help hold that up. Trying to do it by yourself it takes a little bit more time, and it can be kind of frustrating to get it in place. So I do recommend someone help you hold this up while you secure it to the support arms. All right, so the next part in this equation is that we are going to attach the duct here to come. You should have a duct, and you should have 2 of these clamps here. What you're going to do, the directions tell you to put the clamp over top of the hose here. Make sure it's fully loosened. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide this. We're going to slide this into the duct over the outlet here. We're going to slide that over the outlet, secure that in place, and then we're going to attach it to the this entrance, or this opening here that goes to the dust collection port. So I'm going to go ahead and get that established in place. Quick note here, it seems to be that a lot of the nuts on here is going to be a 10mm socket. So the good news is that if you have a 10mm socket and a ratchet, it'll make this a lot easier to tighten this down. Okay, I went ahead and got the hose connected to the outlet into this part here. I will say that the hose here had a kink on it, and so you watched me kind of struggle trying to get that on over there's like a lip here, right here, trying to get that over that lip and get it secured in place. So what I should have done probably is put this in on the bottom here. That way it would have been easier for me to twist it on here, and then I wouldn't have so much of a struggle getting this on to this end. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're almost in the home. We're pretty much in the home stretch. We're going to go ahead and put the filter bag on top of this, and then you're going to secure it in place. You should have 2 clamps with you. You should have gotten 2 clamps that goes around the outside of this. And you want to make sure that it rests in the teeth here when you go to snap it down and bring this in. And you want to make sure when you tighten it up, it rests in those teeth when you go to clamp or secure it in place. And then too, you also want to make sure that it's below. You can't see here, but there's like a lip here, a flange, that it kind of doesn't go past that. It kind of rests right in there, and that keeps the bag in place. So that's what I'm going to do next. All right, that was actually pretty easy to do. The lever here comes forward, and then you just lock it into those teeth, and then you pull it forward. So the next thing we got to do is we got to go ahead. The directions tell you to connect. There's a opening here, a loop at the top of the filter bag, and you just basically place that over the top here of the support arm, and that part is finished. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and install the collection bag that's on the bottom of this. So we go through the directions here. All right, the next step here, this is the next to the last step. Once you install the bag, the last thing you do is to secure the handle, and that will be it for the completion of the assembly. What I'm going to do to install the bag is I'm going to go ahead and put this on the bottom. It's pretty much the exact opposite of installing the top filter with the clamp. What I'm going to do, so I don't have to fight with the holding the bag up and getting the clamp in place, I'm going to put a couple pieces of tape on the outside to hold the bag up so I get the clamp in place and tighten it down. Actually, I didn't need to use the tape after all. There's a couple of clips here that just kind of holds the bag in place till you get the clamp on. So I didn't need to use the tape. So that kind of makes a big difference there. Actually, I will need the tape after all because I'm just having a hard time getting the clamp and fighting with the bag. So I'm just going to put the tape on here to keep this in place. Okay, that wasn't too bad getting the collector bag on the bottom. I thought I didn't have to use tape to hold the bag up because of these clips, but just trying to fight with getting the clip or trying to get this clamp on around the collector housing here and hold the bag up. It was just starting to become frustrating, so I just put a couple pieces of painter's tape to hold it up in place. Now, there is one thing where the directions they made a mistake on. And that's this, is that in order, the last part in this assembly process, you got to secure the handles. Well, they put that step at the very last part of the directions. Let me show you here. And it says here, step 12, attach the handle to the collector with the nut and screw. See figure F. But before that, they're telling you to install the filter bag and the collection bag on first before that. And what you should have done was basically, once you mounted this, install the handle, then put these two items on last. So that's kind of an error in the instructions there. So what I'm going to do, rather than having to fight with this bottom bag here, I'm just going to go ahead and take the top one off because it was a lot easier to secure in place, and then I'm going to put the handle on, then I'm going to reattach this. So here goes nothing. Okay, the handle, this is the handle here, and it's attached to the collector housing here with these two hex head bolts, or internal hex bolts, and two nuts on the back. That's what the instructions call for. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera real quick because I got to get a ratchet that will fit the back of this nut here, and then I got to get a hex head wrench or Allen wrench to secure the front of it. So I'm pause the camera. Okay, the Allen wrench that you'll need for the front of this bolt here is going to be a T40, I believe. This was a set that came with when I installed my Harvey table saw, so I'm just using that. That's the only thing I have that's metric. Okay, pretty much it. That's it for the installation or the assembly of this. So the only thing that's left to do is to go ahead and plug it in and to see how this thing works, or to see if it does work. All right, I've got this thing finally fully assembled, so I've got it plugged in, so I'm going to turn it on and see if it works. Okay, actually I had to put it to a different outlet. I have one of these wheel out cords that has a kind of like a safety mechanism if it's drawing too much current or too much amperage, so it popped a circuit breaker. So I'm going to try this again. Sweet. Okay guys, before I hook this up and give it a demo, test it out and see how the dust collection works, there's two products that I want to bring to your attention. One of which is this 4-inch to 2-inch reducer. For those of you that own a Shopsmith and you're wanting to have an affordable type of dust collection, the dust collection port on the back of on the Shopsmith blade guard here is a 2.5-inch opening, and so therefore you're going to need some type of a kind of like a reducer, so to speak, to hook up to the 4-inch hose. And this is one that I found on Amazon. It's by PowerTech. It's a 4-inch to 2.5-inch reducer. I'll have a link in the description if you want to, if you're interested in that. It does come with a kind of like a coupling hose here, and comes with 2 band clamps with thumb screws on it, so it's kind of a nice little feature. And then to hook this up to the dust collection hose, you just put this on there, tighten the band clamps, and then use the other clamps. Use a clamp like this to hook it up to the hose. Then the other product is this is a 4-inch. This is an extendable hose. I think it extends out to 10 feet. And I'll have a link in the description to that as well. And it comes with the 10-foot hose, and it comes with 4 of these band clamps, which you can use for other hoses or stuff like that on the dust collector. So I'll have a link to both of these products in the description if you want to check those out. So I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to get the table saw set up on the Shopsmith, and we'll get going. Okay guys, I went ahead and got the Shopsmith set up for the table saw configuration. I went ahead and did the 5-point safety check to make sure that the headstock is secured and that the table is secured and all that good stuff. I got a featherboard set up here for this particular function, and I'm just going to be using a scrap piece of 1x4 here to do this demonstration. Got my safety glasses, got a push stick, and I've got the dust collector hooked up. So we're going to fire this up and see how it does. Alright guys, overall I'm very pleased with this particular dust collector, and I think you'll like it, or you'll enjoy it, so to speak, if you want to add some type of inexpensive dust collection to your workshop. But prior to having any type of dust collection or this system, you know, when I went to run the table saw or do anything on the Shopsmith, it just throw dust all over the place. So it didn't quite, I will say that the dust collector didn't get all of the dust in it, probably because I need to make some adjustments to the blade guard underneath, and see where I can greatly improve the vacuum. But it did collect quite a bit of dust in the bag there, and like I said, when I went to use a table saw or do anything on the Shopsmith, it would just throw dust all over the place. So it's cut down on the dust quite a bit, and I don't have as much on the table because it would throw it all over the front and the back of the table saw. So I'm definitely going to be looking forward to using this on my full-size table saw over there, the Harvey, as well as on this machine as well. Anyway, that's it for this particular video. Be sure to subscribe comment, like, and share, and don't forget to turn on the alert icon to alert you to when I upload any videos, and I'll catch you on the next video.